It's our space. Yes, it is. It's our space, and we like to call it third space.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful jingle.
I'm gonna be honest. Usually, about a couple of minutes before going live, going hot on the air, I
Right.
think of the jingle and I get one. That
Hmm.
one, I realized I had nothing to say as soon as we said go, and then that's what came out.
Well, that
So,
was a great improv jingle. It sounded right in league in terms of quality with your other jingles, I would say.
um,
So
ouch.
I'll let you interpret. I'll let you interpret
Or I mean, yay. I don't know what. Yeah. Good.
Ah. Before we get started, an announcement. I just realized this. We now have a Third Space podcast email address.
Yeah.
Really fancy. It's mail.thirdspace@gmail.com. You know it's professional because it's a Gmail address.
Mail.thirdspace@gmail.com.
Yep.
Uh,
So,
uh, so fans can write to us and suggestions can be made and criticisms can be, critiqued.
levied.
Levied.
Um,
Yeah, that's better.
yeah, don't know that. It's weird to use the word fans. That's strange.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't really. Yeah.
say let's say listeners. Can't
How
imagine.
about
I don't even
fanboys? How about that?
fanboys. Yeah.
So weird. It is weird. Even saying fans is like just so funny to me that the
Yeah.
idea of I actually don't. Although I'm curious when we look at the data, I don't think about like people on the other side listening to us. I mean, I sort of do. I like the idea of it, but it'd be really cool to actually like have someone contact us. I don't know. That's it would feel real for the first time because it feels abstract to me right now.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But the address is there in case anyone wants to contact us. They can. And also, we are now on YouTube. So
It's
if
pretty good announcements. Like the idea that we have announcements is interesting. It sounds official. I like it.
Yeah. I know I personally, whenever I listen to a podcast, I pretty much just listen on YouTube. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts actually, and prefer just pulling up YouTube real quick. So that's where I like to listen to it. And now we're on YouTube as well. So
Woo! We are YouTubers.
yep. And I think we have a grand total of one view from me. So
All right,
gaining some steam there.
killing it,
But
man.
but they're all there, so that's good. Could be easy to pull up, like on the fly or something, instead of loading up some podcast app or something. So,
I'll just have to name drop it in class, and then a bunch of kids will go watch it for 10 minutes, and that's it. But the numbers will shoot up to 60 really fast, and then that's it. It'll be great.
yeah, I think it
Listener numbers.
looks. I think it looks nice. Like I've had to figure out how to kind of merge together, like a background and the audio, and yeah, put our light bulb logo. So the student who made that art now is that's prominently featured.
Yes,
And
yes. I'm excited.
it's got a little sound wave at the bottom when we talk that moves. So it's
I
pretty cool.
just put it together that student is now in my class.
Oh, that's cool.
And I didn't realize the names. I was contacting this student to help this symbol or draw this icon for us,
Uh-huh.
and just through word of mouth through other students. So I didn't know this student, and so we had these email exchanges, not knowing the student. And now they're in my AP Lang class. That's really weird. I now putting that together. I should thank him
Yeah, you
again,
should.
like in person.
Yeah, you should extort him even more now.
Oh, extort is better than thanking. Yeah, yeah. Good connection to make, though. I'll have to consider that tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we don't need any more art at the moment. So I think we're
Well,
all squared away.
true. If I have no use, I just won't talk to him. You're right.
I had oh, here's another thing that I can mention. Not an announcement, but just something to kind of kick us off. I was just taking a brisk walk around the lake a few minutes ago, before we started recording, and I saw two funny child-related incidents.
I like funny child-related incidents.
That made me laugh. So one was a girl. She was probably 8 or 9 years old. and she was walking her small dog. It was just her and the dog. No one else was around. And the dog was like kind of squatting to pee. And for some reason, the girl, I guess, didn't want the dog to pee there, or just wanted to.
Was it on the path? Was it off the path appropriately?
It was just to the side of the sidewalk.
Okay.
This was in my apartment complex before the lake.
Okay.
And the dog was like kind of getting comfortable about to pee, but the girl didn't want the dog to pee, I guess, and started like yanking on the leash. Not yanking, but tugging on the leash and just starting to walk away. And the dog is like, I'm peeing here, and it's kind of like backpedaling with the back legs, kind of like that. You know the motion that like cartoon dogs do when they're running real fast and then stop, where all their legs are forward, and it's like
yes.
and smoke comes out the front. That's kind of what the dog's position was like. But the dog was peeing
Also
and getting
peeing.
and getting dragged along, and there's just this weak little river of yellow dog pee like getting traced along the sidewalk as the girl is walking away with her peeing dog. And
what do you think played into her motivations? Like, why was she? Did they say don't make sure she doesn't poop, or make sure the dog doesn't make a mess? And she took that very seriously. It's perhaps one of her early times ever being allowed this independent moment, taking the dog out, and she's taking it very seriously. And I'm just curious if that's the sort of decision making, or is she just a kid who wants to leave and the dog's not ready, kind of thing?
yeah, I tend to think it's the latter. It's just a kid being a kid and a dog being a dog, and she just wanted to move, and the dog didn't want to move. And I wonder, like, also, because I was walking down the sidewalk and approaching her and the dog, and she looked at me, and I wonder if she was like, I shouldn't be standing here in the sidewalk with my dog, and then decided to move, at that point, or if there was some sort of weird secondhand embarrassment. I don't want a stranger to see my dog peeing.
Yeah, no, I think that
I
have
doubt-
a feeling
doubt
something
that.
your existence may have fueled her decision making, right? She's a
Could
kid,
be,
she's
yeah.
nervous, feels uncomfortable, sees somebody, and is just kind of wanting to exit the situation, pretty uncertain of her actions. I don't know. I'm just putting myself in an 8 or 9-year-old or whatever young person's shoes, really young person who almost too young to be doing. I don't know if that's too young to be taking your dog out, not just right outside the apartment. I thought you were meant on the path initially, which is unusual because that's to be by yourself on that path. I would say 8 or 9 is pretty young to be walking this big 2-mile path by yourself, kind of thing.
I think it's fine.
I mean, I think so too. I do personally, but I could see kids not being allowed to do that, right?
Yeah,
And so
I could. Yeah, this was in the apartment complex. I think that it was pretty.
she's
fine.
doing her chore of taking the dog out. That's even funnier to think often you take a dog out for either a longer walk or to pee, or use
Right.
the restroom, and then she
No,
was doing her
don't
duty,
pee.
and she was really funny.
I'm gonna drag you along. The second child related incident was funnier. This was when I was actually walking around the lake, and there's like a parking lot where a bunch of people can come park and then walk around. It's like a public kind of park kind of area, and the path is elevated near the parking lot. I was walking along this elevated part and looking down at the parking lot, and there was a mom and her kid, and maybe another kid, getting out of their car, I guess, to go play around in the little park field type area. And the kid was probably 5 years old, and he had a baseball bat, or I guess it was more of a wiffle ball bat. It was one of those wiffle ball bats that are, I don't know, maybe 2.5 feet long, and they're really thick. They're like 4 or 5
hollow.
inches.
Yeah.
And hollow plastic in diameter. And the kid just, like, I guess, I don't remember what the mom was doing, looking in the back of the car or something, but the kid just kind of was like swinging it around, la 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 la, and then he walks to the car next to him, rears back, and then in like professional baseball form whacks the side of just some stranger's car, and it makes this huge like wham noise that like echoed on the elevated walkway. And the mom
Wow.
was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't just be hitting other people's cars. And I heard her start, like commenting on the situation. And it just made me laugh really hard. I was laughing out loud at the kids smacking someone else's car.
It is. It blows my
Just
mind. Like as a, I realized how serious of a kid I was. I didn't do things like that. Like I didn't just mindlessly. I'm assuming this kid kind of mindlessly, not meanly, but just would be
oh,
like,
he
"Oh,
was
this
just
would be
a
fun. This will be fun." Quapow makes a loud noise, satisfying,
he was
echoey
just a
sound.
nice, mostly peaceful protester in the making.
Yeah,
But the mom,
mostly.
like, I watched the mom's reaction. I mean, she was very vocal about being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" But I wanted to see, like, I was too far away to tell if there was any damage. But yeah, I wanted to see what she did. Like, she just kind of stood there for a while, and it seemed like her body language was uncertain. Like she was confused as to whether she should just like pretend this never happened and take her kid and go up to the park, or whether she should like write a note or what she should do about the situation. She seemed very very confused.
I imagine, well, yeah, if there's damage, you have to leave the note. But you're right, like it's an unusual situation to be presented with. And in fact, parenting, I guess, frequently, I mean, I'm imagining you're consistently implementing corrective measures, right? Like this is not
Sure,
what you
yeah.
do, and this is what you do. And then when the I'll say the grieve or the offense is pretty bad, or whatever that means. Once it's crossed the threshold, we're in punishment zone, right? The removal of a privilege and things like that. But oftentimes, more often than not, I'd imagine it's not punishment zone. It's just like, hey, this is not how we behave. This is not what we do. This is not how. And so, like, that's an interesting one because what do? Well, you could take the bad away. I guess it's as simple as that, right? Like, you take the bad away. You've misused it. You don't get it, and then like are more punishments necessary? Was that enough? I mean, I imagine
Yeah.
you take the pad away, the kid's crying, all of that. I don't know. I'm just
Well,
parenting's tough.
parenting's gotta suck. I mean, like, I imagine if this is the first time the kid has just irresponsibly wielded his wiffle ball bat, uh, then he didn't. I mean, to be really technical about it, he didn't know you're not supposed to whack other people's cars with your wiffle ball bat. If that. I mean, what parent can make explicit every possible behavioral limitation? They just
Right.
can't. So, like, maybe I'm being very generous, but maybe the first time you say no, you can't just swing your bat around like that, kid. Like you have to be careful with your bat and not damage things. It seems like a lesson he would have already learned, but if that's truly the first time that he's coming into contact with that rule, maybe you don't punish right away. But
Well,
definitely the next time you have to say, all right, no more bat, or hit him with the bat and see how he likes it.
wow, yeah, you like that? And the kid's crying.
How do you like that?
But I think that even calling it punishment might be a misnomer if it's like it's just a natural consequence. You misused this item, and like so well, you'll get the bat back. It's not removed forever, but like yeah, you're not gonna have it first. And so it's not like I'm trying to deprive my kid of a bat or the whatever. I wonder what the true corrective measure is, because just saying don't do it, yeah, I mean theoretically, but their brains aren't developed, and they might need to go, oh, I don't want to lose that again. They might need something to latch on to and go, oh, there are consequences to my actions, because I'm afraid that the kid wouldn't take a firm speaking to as a real consequence like that.
Well,
That's
and
not
you also
memorable.
have to, I mean, maybe or maybe not. And also, kids are learning how to generalize. And so, you may have told them, you can't hit a stranger's car with your wiffle ball bat. But the question is, that can the kid generalize to, you can't hit strangers' dogs with your wiffle ball bat. You can't hit strangers with your wiffle ball bat. You can't hit strangers' cars with rocks. Can the kid generalize to other things and assume rules that he hasn't
Right.
explicitly been told? Um, and that's one of the most important things for kids to learn. And so you have to make sure that lesson is getting through.
I don't know. Again, back to me being a serious kid. I don't know if I was super intuitive, or there's a lot of, maybe there's just too many variables to consider. But I didn't do things like that. I didn't whack people's stuff with sticks or baseball bats or anything. Like I was well behaved, and I even recall watching like my peers growing up in classes misbehaving and doing some crazy things and thinking, wow, this is nuts. I can't believe my people my age do this, and this was at young ages. So I don't know. Like, were you ever the kind to go around doing that? I mean, obviously I don't have a conscious memory or a very clear one anyway of what it was like to be four and what I was thinking exactly. So
Yeah, I wasn't a really a mischievous kid. I didn't do a lot of bad stuff.
And like, where do you think that comes from? It's like obviously our parents, but there are plenty of parents I'm sure that lay the ground rules, are firm and loving, and do all the right things, right? But the kid just wants to whack things with a wiffle ball bat, and they just do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a big part of it is personality and temperament, and I guess there's a non-negligible part that's just opportunity. Curiosity probably plays into it as well. Like, I mean, at some point you got to wonder what happens when you smack the dog with your wiffle ball bat. Like, what's going to happen then? Like that, if you're really curious, that might override your your calm temperament or your respect for the rules.
Well, how about like what if you look at life through a lens of like boundaries and everyone's wanting to test boundaries? So like you said, curiosity fuels this testing of boundaries. What happens when this happens? Are there consequences and all of these things? But weirdly enough, even me, the obedient kid that didn't I wanted to know the boundaries and I wanted to abide by them. I wasn't interested in pushing the limits of the boundaries. I was more interested in like applying the boundaries as much as I could. Like tell me, articulate it, let me map it onto other areas of my life. And whereas the kid that maybe is more mischievous or whatever is more like still exploring boundaries, but just not as obsessed with like or not as interested in finding the limitations and staying within it. It's more just like where's the end here? Where's the end? When do I get stopped? When does the
Right.
pushback happen?
Here's an explanation that's very flattering to me, and you probably as well. Like when it comes to boundary recognition, it's kind of a generalization problem. Like I said, like maybe as kids we were just really good at predicting what the actual boundaries were. We didn't have to be told what not to do for every specific little thing because we knew. Hold on a second, this might get me in trouble, so I probably shouldn't do that. Whereas kids with a different temperament or less ability to generalize might say, well, they didn't tell me not to put crayons in the toaster.
And they mean it though. They're like genuinely confused in that moment, going, "Well, I didn't know I couldn't. You never said that." Or is
Right.
that an excuse making thing? But
I mean, there could also be an impulsiveness part to it as well, and that's probably more temperament based. Some people
right,
are just more impulsive, and you know, they don't think about the consequences. They just really want to do something right now, like put peanut butter in the washing machine or
yeah,
something.
no, and I was not impulsive. I don't know. Like I was very reserved, and I just wonder where that comes from. Like we use temperament or disposition or we use these words, but you know, I guess it's coded in our DNA.
Yep.
Science and
Science.
stuff.
Yep. There we
It's
go.
the mystery
Just
of
that
the magic.
science leaking out of us.
So, something happened to you this weekend.
Yep.
What was it?
Order some pizza.
Oh yeah, did anything else happen to you this weekend?
I got in a car wreck.
That's crazy. And you had texted me that, and then I was like, "Whoa, are you okay? Like, was it a fender? Would you call it a fender bender?" And then you sent me the pictures, and I mean, I'm guessing your car's totaled. Like, is that how?
Probably
When do
so.
you find that out? Like, when did this happen? By the way, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday morning. Yeah, I don't know when I'll find out. Hopefully soon, so I'll know what to do.
Can you walk me through really quickly what happened?
Yeah. So actually, I slept in a little bit. It was like 9:30, and I actually thought to myself, you know what? I'm tired of being cooped up. I kind of want to go out and explore a little bit. So there's this part of town that I'm considering moving to, and I thought, it'd be real nice to drive down there and just kind of scope things out, get lunch at a new place, that kind of thing. So I was actually in adventure mode, which actually I'm not in that mode that often. I kind of prefer non-adventure mode, but I was in adventure mode, and so I got an adventure. It
Yeah.
was it had rained earlier in the morning, so the roads were a little wet, and I was just driving along. Traffic was kind of moderate. I was on a two lanes going one direction road, and at a stoplight, and then the stoplight turned green. There's another stoplight a little bit ahead. I wasn't in a hurry, so I wasn't driving fast or whatever. This was speed limit's like 35 on this road, and there were a couple cars ahead of me in the lane, and I saw the car in front of me put on their brakes kind of hard. I was plenty far away from them, so I wasn't really concerned. But they like kind of slammed on their brakes. You can tell when someone slams on their brakes because their car kind of jerks about a little bit. And so I saw that, and so that made me have to brake kind of hard, like more forcefully than is comfortable. Like if I was just naturally stopping with no other vehicles around, and you were in the car with me, you would go, "Yeah, Bennett, you're braking a little hard there." You would comment on it, but you wouldn't be like putting your hands on the dash for your safety or anything.
Okay.
Like
so
my
you
tires
felt very in control, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah, completely. And so like I was braking and I came to a stop. I was like at the point of coming to a stop, maybe 2 feet or something from the back of the car in front of me. And then at the moment that I was coming to a stop, wham! And someone just rear-ended me from the back.
And you never saw that coming?
No, I wasn't looking in my rearview mirror at that point. And actually, my rear window was kind of foggy because of the rain and the humidity, and so I couldn't really see clearly out my back window anyway. But yeah, I wasn't paying attention to behind me. I had just come to a stop. I was focusing on the car in front of me, and someone behind me rear-ended me and knocked me into the car in front of me, and knocked that car into the car in front of them. And so my car kind of got squashed. My airbag shot out and all that nonsense.
So it shocked you, though. You're looking forward and thinking, I just avoided a wreck.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking, whew, like I had like an instant of relief of like, dodged that one, or came to a stop or whatever, and then it hit me. Someone hit me.
Well, it sounds like a movie moment, right? Almost like a trope in a horror movie where you think, oh, the bad guy's not there. And, you open the closet, he's not there. You feel that sense of relief, and then the killer pops out somewhere else or behind you. And, like, that's what you experience.
Yeah.
Would you say you're, like, a better than average driver if you were to self-evaluate based on, I guess, purely anecdotal stuff?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if my Mario Kart rankings are any indication. I think so. Like, I mean, I'm attentive. My reflexes are good. Like, I'm not aggressive. I don't do stupid stuff when I drive. Like,
you're risk averse. You drive defensively generally. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm aggressively defensive, I would say. That's how defensive I am.
Super aggressively. It offends people how defensive. You're offensively defensive.
I'm offensively defensive. No, really, I think I'm a decent driver. I don't have many of those moments where I'm in a weird situation and I'm like, oh, whoa, what do I do here? Like a lot of people, like if you ever ride in the car with your mom or something, and like someone doesn't use their blinker or the light, or you come up to a traffic light and the power's gone out and it's just flashing, or just some slightly unusual situation, they get real nervous and they're just kind of like,
right, some uncertainty around. Presents itself, and just
not sure what to do. They don't want to press the gas. They don't want to press the brake. They just don't commit to any action and just kind of roll along into the unknown, And that doesn't really happen to me. At least not any time that I can recall. Like generally, I'm doing something that needs to be done when I'm driving. So
there's intuition, I would say that takes over.
I know that that sounds like I'm very full of myself when it comes to driving, but actually I'm just a pretty confident and sure and aware driver. Like I just don't. I don't have. There aren't many instances where something goes wrong and I go, oh, that was my fault. Very occasionally that happens, as it happens to everyone, but very, very rarely.
So in this situation, you're 0% at fault, clearly, right? You've come to you said a complete stop or a near complete stop, avoiding the bump
there was
ahead of you.
There was no danger of me hitting the person in front of me without someone else, joining in to give me some extra momentum.
And given the damage of your car, they hit you. I mean, it
Yeah,
almost
they were.
begs the question: did they break at all? Like your car is
There were.
totaled almost, or
Yeah,
probably.
there were no skid marks on the road anywhere. Not from my tires, not from their tires. When the officer was recounting what happened, he said that the person who hit me just didn't even brake. So I guess they just weren't paying attention at all
How
and just kind of ran right into
that
me.
is frustrating.
Probably going. They were probably going, I don't know, 30 or 35 miles an hour. I mean,
Yeah, and you're not injured at all. Like not even whiplash, nothing like that.
no, I'm fine.
No cuts or
I
bruises.
did notice a little bit of tenderness, like on my lower abdomen, like I guess from the seatbelt, getting yanked into the seatbelt a little bit, but it's nothing. Like there's basically zero injuries.
And so you
Thankfully.
were you conscious of the airbag going off?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was an annoyance. Like, actually, it would have been better in my situation if the airbag didn't go off. Like, it's not like it helped me. It was just kind of like as soon as the rear collision happened, I was, again, this is instance. I'm just like, oh crap, and then I got pushed forward into the other car, and that's the impact that set off the airbag. And so I was just kind of like, oh crap, and then oh crap, and then the airbag goes off kind of pointlessly.
It's like distinctly after the impacts have happened and you've been jolted the way. I mean that blows my mind. The idea is that they pop out so fast on impact that I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the impact had been hard enough to really throw me forward, then it would have kept me from slamming my face into the steering wheel. But the impact wasn't hard enough to throw me forward that much, so it was really more just the airbag going off in my face than it was my face getting stopped by the airbag.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
No, it does.
So yeah.
Did the scare of being hit? So I'm sure it's like an immediate jolt of adrenaline and all of that, and because it was so surprising, you were probably disoriented for a moment, looking around and going, "Is something else? Are there more cars coming? Is this going to be a nightmare of a pile up or anything?" Did any of those thoughts race through your head, or like how long did it take you to go? Oh, this car behind me hit me. Was that instantaneous, or was there just a confusing moment?
Was very fast. It was very fast. It wasn't very confusing. Like I said, I was at a stop. I was aware of my surroundings in front of me. Like what was going on in front of me was very clear. This is not a high speed area of road or anything like that. And then as soon as the person hit me, it was apparent after I got out and looked at what was going on. It was apparent that they noticed at maybe the very last second, looked up and saw, oh crap, and they just tried to swerve to the right because they hit mostly the back right side of my car. And then, after the impact, when I looked, I saw them in a pickup. They're in a pickup truck, just pulled up on the curb on the right side of the road there. So I saw that, and I saw the damage, and immediately knew, oh, that's what happened. They hit me.
So did they call the cops? Do you know who called the cops, and how long did it take for them to show up?
The person in the very front. So there are 4 total vehicles involved. A guy in the very front, a girl that was directly in front of me who initially slammed on her brakes and bumped the guy in front of her. The guy in the very front is the one who called the police. And they took a long time to arrive, probably half an hour, 25 minutes.
What? Seriously? I guess they
Yeah.
said no one's hurt, so they didn't put it on emergency status or something.
Yeah, it took 25 minutes or so for the police officer to arrive.
That's surprising.
Another 35 or 40 minutes for the first tow truck to arrive, and then an additional 10 minutes or so for another tow truck to arrive for my car.
Wow.
So I was standing out there for a long time. I got to ride in the back of a police car, so that was an interesting experience as well. So he took me home.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing. This whole thing's super inconvenient, and I'm sure there's, what do you call it, blame assignment, and like the person in the truck or whatever, the person that hit you from behind is the one that essentially gets the blame. Do they actually? I don't know much about this. Do they divvy up blame? Do they say 90% this person, 10% this person, and that sort of thing?
I don't know either. I've not been in. I've only been in one other car accident, I guess, which was only last year. Someone kind of ran into me in a parking lot and dented my door. So there was just 2 vehicles there, and it was clearly his fault. So that one was easy. I don't really know how they do it in a case where there are four vehicles, and I
Which I
mean
imagine is frequent, right? Like lots of little pile up type stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I imagine it's very frequent. So I'm sure there's a way. I just don't know what it is. But they just better not divvy any blame to me. That's
Right.
that's the only part that I'm too concerned about. As long as they, you know, give me the value of my car, the appropriate value of my car.
And that your insurance doesn't go up, or this doesn't sort of count against you in any way. Because
Well, yeah,
I don't like that
that's what I'm
idea.
saying. I shouldn't be blamed for this, and I don't think, I don't think I will be. I mean, if my last parking lot run in was any indication, then I think that one went relatively smoothly on the insurance side. On the repair side, it sucked, but on the insurance side, fine.
But aren't you suspicious that insurance, sure, they will say, like, they'll take a note of it because, and I'm actually curious as to why, if it's completely not your fault, I don't want them keeping track of that because if they start to say, okay, well, Bennett had this incident last year and this year, and neither of which were in any way your fault, let's just say you're actually unlucky, like cosmically unlucky, like, it seems to me they'd still be interested as an insurance company in identifying your unluckiness and like wanting to charge you more. Like why would they record it if it had nothing to do with you? The reason you record is to see, oh hey, you getting more wrecks, so we need to charge you more. Isn't that the idea? Like you are the cause of more issues, so we charge you more. Isn't that
Well,
generally how insurance is? And that's why you get safety. You haven't
well,
had wrecks and stuff, so we'll charge you less.
yes, but I mean, if you're not assigned at fault, then that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. Like what you're saying is, if you're at fault for a bunch of wrecks, we're going to charge you more.
Yeah.
But if you're not at fault for the wrecks, then we're not going to charge you more. I mean, that's kind of the way it goes.
That's
And if anyone is going to be acutely aware of how many idiots there are on the road, it's going to be car insurance companies. I mean, because that affects their bottom line. How many idiots there are, that directly affects how much profit they make. And so, like they have got to be painfully aware that there are people out there who are good drivers who still get in wrecks because other people are idiots.
Right. And there's even probably good drivers, great drivers that have been in there's got to be the unlucky people in the world, right? On whatever side of the bell curve where they have been in lots of wrecks, none of which are their fault. And I guess
Yeah.
the insurance
Well,
insurance is never having to pay for that anyway. They're just kind of taking note of that stuff. Like the other
Right.
insurance is paying for it, right? The person whose fault it is.
Right. And there are other factors at play too. How frequently you drive is a big factor as well. The more you're on the road, the more likely you are to get in an accident, regardless of your skill
Right.
at driving.
That's what's funny. The algorithm for the cost is super interesting. They're interested in your gender, and they're interested in they're very interested in what kind of vehicle you have. So if you have a 4-wheel drive, then the idea is if you have a big old truck and it's 4-wheel drive, that means you're towing stuff or going off road. Either way, it's higher risk driving, I suppose. And so or sports cars obviously cost more, that sort of stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting. I kind of don't like it, but I understand it.
Yeah, well, and more expensive cars. This makes a bottom line sense to me. Is if expensive cars cost more to insure, just because if you damage it, then it costs more to fix. And
Sure,
I get
that makes
that,
sense.
but other things start to feel really weird, like age, like oh you're older or younger people, like when you're really young or really old.
Well, what annoys me is that, I mean, if it was option, if getting car insurance was optional, then fine, use whatever rules you want. But since having car insurance is mandatory, then it just kind of seems like some crap that you're subject to to these somewhat arbitrary rules.
Or the idea
I
that
don't like that.
a male and a female driving the same car, the same age, from the same everything. It's just one's a boy or a guy and one's a girl. Like they'll be paying different prices, very likely. That's
Right.
that's strange to me. I get if one's deciding to get a Lamborghini or something. I even get the sort of offer, if you're buying vehicles that are designed to do some crazy things, then you're probably going to do crazy things with them.
And you
So
want to know the craziest part? It's that they charge more for the guys. What? Completely backwards. Doesn't make any sense.
I have heard that they charge more. This is kind of just more. I don't know this is true or not, but yeah, they charge like teenage boys a lot more than teenage girls, even though the stats sort of bear out the teenage girls get in slightly more wrecks. Or it it's actually like men drive a lot more than females. But you have to look at miles on the road to be interested in like the true statistic, right? Not just flat number and say, oh, the population's roughly 50-50, so that means, and there are more men who are in wrecks, but they're driving significantly more, and that bears out. Like, if my girlfriend and I go somewhere, I tend to drive, and I think that's a pattern that a lot of relationships follow.
Right.
Good old sexism. So.
Yep. Gotta love it.
But that means, yeah, if you just measured my miles driven in a year, it's a lot more. And then statistically, I'm more likely to get in a wreck then, but I could be a safer driver and in more wrecks. That's what's interesting. So
That's one annoying thing about my wreck is that I drive very little. Like, I don't drive very much. And so it's just very annoying to get in a wreck. And another thing that annoys me too is that, I mean, it's kind of futile to think about this kind of thing, but like, I slept in, which is already unusual. Usually I wake up at a very consistent time, and so that was already anomalous. And then I was doing this anomalous thing with my morning, and also when I was leaving my apartment, there's a little cul-de-sac, or a roundabout, I should say, where you have to decide whether you're going to go left or you're going to go right. And since I was going somewhere unusual, I wasn't really thinking about it, and I went left when I should have gone right, and that cost me probably an extra 2 minutes. And then I also forgot my water bottle, and as soon as I was pulling out of my apartment, I was thinking, oh man, I'm kind of thirsty. Should I go back and get my water bottle? Any one of these things altered would have avoided me getting in this car wreck.
Spider effect.
So all of these things had to happen all at this, all combined in order for this to, because it was, a difference of seconds there that would have, put me in a different lane, or put me at, before or after the stoplight turning, or the person behind me not being in the same spot. Like, all of these things would have changed.
It is interesting that your wreck happened in a place you don't typically drive, because for obvious reasons, most wrecks occur close to home, or, and because you're driving around that area the most, but also because I think the automaticity kicks in, and so we project familiarity with the experience. So if you're coming around that corner, if something's different or out of place, it's more likely to throw us. Whereas if you're in a new area, everything's new, and so you're more alert. And you were in a situation that was new, and you were alert, and then you did everything right, and then the universe screwed you anyway.
Yep. But, I guess one other, when you're thinking along those lines, it doesn't really work, or at least it's not worth spending a lot of time thinking about, because, who's to say that any other strange combination of actions that morning wouldn't have resulted in me in a different lane getting hit by a different person that could have been worse,
right? Yeah, it could have saved your life, all those little things. So.
And it also makes you think that, like, what happened to me is a rare event, but it makes you think how many rare events you're dodging every moment. Like what different, if I forgot my water bottle before I went walking around the lake earlier, like, it's kind of the spider effect, as we call it. These little bitty actions having a potentially big reaction down whatever timeline, and which actions combine to get you to a really crazy action. So
it makes my brain
destination sort of thing.
It does, because everything that actually happens is statistically, like, pretty improbable that exact thing and that sequence of events happens, but it is always happening. So statistically improbable things are always always happening.
That's the interesting thing about hindsight, is that when you're at when you're right before an event happening, that whatever event it is very statistically unlikely. Ostrich, like that. Me saying the word ostrich right then. If I had asked you what are the odds of me saying ostrich in this conversation at the beginning of our conversation, there's not a number small enough that you could even say. But I said it, and now with hindsight, that probability is guaranteed. It's 1. I definitely said the word ostrich, and so that's like hindsight changes our understanding of probability instantly. Like right when something happens, it's like, oh yeah, that definitely happened. Whereas,
and even that
a few moments ago, it's like the odds of that happening are pretty low.
Right, and you almost have an "of course that happened." It's the narrative we start to build. Well, this it pretty much had to happen this way when you think about it. He had to say something random to make his point, and of course it was ostrich because, and then whatever justifications I want to insert. Maybe you just saw an ostrich earlier, something like that.
That was just the first word that came into my brain.
Random, such a random word.
So random. Hey, you know what we haven't done in a while?
What have we not done in a while?
Mind your morals.
Mind your morals. I really should work on these before I just say them. But I would actually like that if we have like Daniel Does Science or all these different ones or have a little jingle.
Have a little jingle with it? Yeah, that would be fun.
Where you could press a button and it's really cheesy morning radio like, oh yeah!
Yeah. Daniel Does Science and
science,
some gloopy
science,
like
science,
chemistry
science,
noises. Gloop, gloop, gloop.
Yeah, I would like that. I bet that'd be fairly easy to find, just some cheesy radio show noises, and we do them a little too often. I'd like that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, mind your morals. I want to hear a mind your morals. I'm down. I want to think about stuff.
All right, so here's one I got for you. On the spiciness scale, this one is a medium. Just a nice medium
I like
spiciness.
medium spice. In fact, that's typically what I order things. I don't,
Yeah. So this is perfect then. All right, so imagine that you are gifted a browser add-on by a super hacker, friend of yours, or I don't know, just someone. Someone gives you a browser add-on, and it adds a button to your Twitter, Facebook, blah, 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 whatever social media. And this button appears next to your like or retweet or whatever option on other people's posts. So on every other post you see, you have this special button that only you get to see in your browser. If you click this button, it sends an untraceable electrical surge through the interwebs, and it destroys the computer or phone that whoever posted the thing that you're looking at used.
Whoa. It destroys the computer through which they posted, or if their phone, so if
whichever one it destroys their phone or computer. So, someone posts something you don't like, you have the special button that says zap or whatever. It's like, share, zap. You click the zap button, and all of a sudden their phone, fries in their hand.
Yeah, and it just goes off.
Crap.
Like, there's no danger. It's just like an unfunctional or dysfunctional phone now. It's just blank. Like, it doesn't explode in their hand or hurt them.
No, it doesn't.
It just,
no. It doesn't explode
working.
or hurt them. It just destroys their phone. Their phone is now worthless.
Okay.
Except as a paperweight.
Okay. And it never... yeah. And it never can be traced back to me.
Yep, totally untraceable. No one will... the person who had this happen will never know what... They'll just think their phone, had some crazy glitch and died. Like, they will never be able to attribute it to someone who read their social media post, unless a string of events happens or something. But from one incident, they will never be able to attribute it. Certainly not to you, and probably not to social media.
Okay. All right.
So that's the situation. So I've got a bunch of using that technology, a bunch of little situations that I want you to assess the morality of pressing that button.
Okay.
Because
generally I'd like to comment on it, but I think I'll wait till I think I'll wait and hear your questions first.
Okay, so let's just let's start with which one should we pick? Let's just start with what's something simple. Let's just say someone says something really mean, not to you personally. You just observe, maybe someone posts a picture of them walking their dog and someone else comments that their dog is really ugly or something. Is that what? Assess the morality of zapping their phone in that situation.
I would say it's pretty immoral to do that. In fact, very immoral. And I don't. This might make you have to jump some questions here, but my personal use, I just would not use it.
Ever. There's no circumstance under which you would use the button.
Okay, so I'm not prepared to say that. That was my initial reaction. If I start thinking through, if I started saying I could stop terrorism from spreading, and really get in line with, now I'm doing what I'd call the good work or something.
Sure.
But I'm not interested in taking like political opinions that I don't agree with, and like so that I'm almost guessing that would be one of your questions, but we'll stay within the being mean. Not only would I not do it, I think someone else doing it is immoral too. Like a couple things are going on with this. You're silencing them. Oh wait, does it also take the post away, or is the post there? It's just like normal. Like,
the post is there like normal. It doesn't do
Okay.
anything to the post. It only destroys their device.
Yeah, so it's destroying an expensive piece of property, whether it's a phone or a computer.
yeah,
Both are
computer.
very expensive, right?
Yes.
And that the idea of I find it difficult. Like we can kind of agree what means, being mean, but I don't think like this whole push to sort of outlaw being mean or saying mean things is foolish, because meanness exists, and I don't think the job of whether it's the government or even like me as a teacher is not to make meanness go away completely. It's for you. It's to manage what to do when mean things happen, or like I tell my students actually that like don't make a mistake in thinking you're just a super nice person. We're all sort of jackasses, and like our point is to fight our jackassery, like to manage our jackassery, to acknowledge that we are jackasses, and then to do things to combat that. But it's foolish to think I'm just not a jackass, or I'm just completely good, And the same thing is like, okay, to go around trying to manage the meanness on the internet. That's so weird. I mean, how many things would I have to zap? And then it's selective, like, oh, I just don't like it when people say mean things about dogs or mean things about people that resemble me or whatever. Then
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
obviously
just-
you're not going to be able to wipe out all meat. You're not going to make it your full-time job to zap everything.
I'm also coming
But-
at this from. Well, go ahead.
But like, could it be that you could be the Batman in a way of, giving people what they deserve? If someone obviously, I tend to agree with your assessment. If someone just says something mean, oh, your dog is ugly, then you're not going to want to destroy their phone for that. But let me walk through some other situations. So like kind of like you suggested, let's say that there's a politician that you don't agree with. Maybe it's Trump, maybe it's Biden, maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's just say there's a politician you don't agree with. They say something that you consider unpalatable. Let's even consider a range here. Let's say unpalatable, and then let's say something that you have serious moral qualms with. Like we don't have to get into any sort of specifics, but let's
Right.
just say that one of these politicians endorses some sort of action that you think is deeply wrong, whether it's for the country or for humanity,
Like
or
truly
whatever the case
violates
may be.
my moral compass, or what?
Yeah,
I think
violates you, because surely you can think of some example of this having really happened.
Absolutely,
Some
yeah.
politician saying something that you find pretty abhorrent. Like it's not, no matter what your values are, it's easy to find that kind of thing. So, is it ever justifiable? I mean, and these are politicians who have a lot of money, and they're, this is going to be an inconvenience for them. They'll easily be able to replace their phone or computer. I guess I'm giving justifications already. I won't taint your response. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I'm not. The button doesn't take away the message, so the message is still getting out there. But even if it was, I'm uncomfortable with sort of you've given power to me to exercise my moral authority, and just yield it and go around and sort of I would say punish is a good word. Punish those who I disagree with, and that really grosses me out in a lot of ways. And so, even if someone says something that I find immoral, like, why am I mean, I'm more interested in if there was somehow a button that could give me an equal platform or sphere of influence. Like, if someone really famous says something morally, I guess a politician's good. Like, so if a politician says something and are reaching millions of people, I am interested in countering them and being able to reach that same audience. Like, I'd like my audience.
You can already do that. You can just comment on whatever they say.
Yeah, that's true. But it's not true that, like, if one politician comments, not everyone's reading what everyone's saying back. Like, they clearly, like, the president's tweets are more read by than some dissenting
Yes.
person.
Yeah,
So
right.
I just don't have an interest, even if it violates my moral code. Like, all right, well then, like, I'd like to be able to combat it, possibly. I mean, I choose not to even partake in social media that much, but the idea of combating it in an open, marketplace of ideas, all that stuff, like, that sounds great. Just sort of destroying someone's property because I disagree. I mean, you can see how that maps on right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
Did I just make the connection that you were kind of building toward?
I actually wrote this weeks and weeks ago, so there was no connection that I was trying to get.
This
us
wasn't
to.
like the exploding cars and Corona.
Yeah, no. This is not an orchestrated mind your morals.
Okay, but I just got there though. I was like, wait,
but you're right.
why would I disagree with you? I'm going to destroy stuff of
You
yours.
connected some dots. You connected some very useful dots there, but
Yeah.
they were not dots that I intentionally drew. But you're right. So fine. That's fine. What if it's not a politician, but it is the head of some foreign country that's a bad dude? Like, imagine the leader of Iran, or maybe it's like Kim Jong-un or some bad dude who is posting stuff. Let's even disregard the content of what he's posting. It's just some bad dude posting stuff, an enemy of our country and presumably of you, posting stuff. Would you zap his phone and computer?
Just a quick side note, and this might make me sound a little silly, but like if I think there can be enemies, like two nations can be enemies toward each other, and then so each side, the other one's the bad dude. But then there are people like Kim Jong-un, which I think are just actually enemies toward humanity in a lot of ways, right? Like, they're elevating themselves, hurting their own people. And so take someone like him, and I actually maybe don't pause there, because I am punishing someone who just almost absolutely deserves it. I would give more pause to just sort of diplomatic, like, oh, this leader hates the U.S. and or like some tensions, like China-U.S. or China-Russia. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's interesting distinction. Then let's say it's Xi Jinping, the leader of China. He's not directly our enemy in the same way that North Korea is. So would you zap his phone?
I would consider it. This is where I would have to go team up with some people who I'd have to go read a bunch of stuff. I mean, really,
obviously
I would.
Obviously, he's going to be able to replace his phone easily. And this is, trust me, this hacker that gave you he's the best. So this is truly untraceable. You don't have to worry about the Chinese mafia tracking you down.
Right.
No worry
and
about
he's
that.
saying
So
things that
you could every week, every time he replaces his Huawei phone, you could log on and zap it, and it would be pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and he just can't seem to find a piece that works. He's like, everything breaks when he has it.
Damn Chinese phones! Time to buy an American phone. That's kind of funny.
I would consider it though.
But so for someone like Kim Jong Un, I assume it would be an easier decision.
Yes, like I almost want to say yes, because if I can limit potential pain he's causing, and he's just causing sort of everyone but himself and his very, very narrow set of followers like pain. So then it's just more complicated when it's, the leader of a nation that we're in conflict with. Like that's a little it's just very gray. So I would I can't even honestly answer if I could be convinced, if you could persuade me that this is going to be more helpful than harmful, but still there is some moral grayness of just destroying someone's property. I'd very much consider it.
Right. Okay.
But the more powerful they are, though, the less this is effective, right? If it's just like this.
Well, I mean, yes, but possibly Kim Jong Un uses his phone to contact his minions and direct some sort of business, and if you interrupt that, then you may actually be doing some small amount of good.
Right. I've delayed his effectiveness for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, over time, if you destroy his phone, if every day you wake up and check his posts and destroy his phone, like he's gonna be pissed about it.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, you may. Here's an interesting thing to consider: like the people providing him his phone, you may be getting them executed.
Oh yeah, that's true, because they think something's up, or he would think something's up with that. Yeah, give me another question to complicate it more.
So let's back off. All of those are relatively easy, I would say. But let's say now, you remember that guy who hit your car, hit and run a long time ago?
Yes, I do. I remember his name clearly.
So let's say that for whatever reason you see his social media posts, and he shares that he just won $500 in a scratch-off lottery. That's his post, and he's like bragging about it. And you see that post.
This is in today's context, 10 years
today,
after the accident.
10 years down the road, whatever, and you haven't heard anything from him in that amount of time, but you see his post that he won $500 in a scratch-off lottery. This guy who hit and run your car way back when.
So he violated my moral compass, didn't check on me, hit me, ran away, all of that, and it really upset me at the time. No,
cost you a bunch of headache.
A lot of headache.
And now he's just won $500 in a scratch-off lottery. So he's sitting in the plus. He's in the black now, $500.
How unjust is this? I should hit it. No, I feel no urge to hit it. If we're being honest, I'm trying to answer honestly. It's like funny to say, "Oh, I'd hit it. Screw him. Screw Jeremy." That was his first name.
Jeremy, bastard.
But no, I have zero. I mean, this is an older incident. I reconciled to some degree with this a long time ago. I came to peace with all of this. I carry nothing toward him. So yeah.
All right.
Does that disappoint you? It's kind of a boring answer. Like, no, I wouldn't press the button.
No, I'm just trying to morally corrupt you. That's all. I'm just trying to find out how morally corruptible you are.
I've got a scenario. I've got one. Or if you want to keep. Like, do you want to hear one on my end?
Save yours up,
okay.
And we'll go through some more at the end. Okay, so now let's say that some high-profile troll-type person on the internet says something blatantly racist, like that I can't think of any. I'm sure you're aware of some really high-profile troll-type people, and they just say something totally disgusting and awful. What about in that situation?
I mean, there's a temptation. Just someone's causing pain for pain's sake, and they're certainly using the platform irresponsibly. And but like, it goes back to the I think that they're gonna pay those natural consequences. I think they're gonna get lampooned by so many people. And I mean, isn't doxing some form of I find doxing to be pretty immoral. Oh, I disagree with you. I'm putting your information out there with the hopes that it gets you.
Yeah, like Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't say his last. I'm not telling. I'm protecting him.
What's his address? Why would you protect that guy?
But so someone says something horrible, like explicitly racist or hateful or whatever, sexist, what you name it. No, I just
Yeah.
don't. I don't know. Like they've said it, they're gonna pay the cost. I would think they've said it.
But you
Like,
could make them definitely pay the cost.
I mean, I just don't want to just. I don't think it's my like it's my I have to take ownership of this even if it's private, like morally for me, like they won't link it back to me, but I have destroyed someone's property, and like in order for you to justify me destroying their property, I think there has to be some risk, like they're hurting human beings and me destroying their property is going to delay or decrease that risk of them hurting someone. Not
Well,
hurting,
this
not
this
hurting
would
me.
prevent
Mean, Go
this
ahead.
would prevent them from saying anything else blatantly racist for until they could replace their device.
I just yes, but like I'm not gonna make racism go away on the internet, or I'm not like that's not like I couldn't do that. Like, and these are, and I think we have to really distinguish between words and thoughts. So like again, these are
Yeah.
saying mean and hateful things. I mean, yes, I would delay some mean thoughts on the internet. Not interested in that. If you can commit, like delaying mean thoughts on the internet is a joke. Like that's so weird to
Yeah.
say. Whereas,
Right, yeah.
whereas if I am saving someone's life or
I actually
physical,
really like the way you phrase that. That's very funny. That's very amusing to me.
slightly delaying mean thoughts on the internet.
Don't get in my way. I'm righteously delaying mean things people are saying on the internet. Let
Versus
me put on
again,
my cape.
if I had some if there was a pedophile ring or something and I was disrupting that communication and saving some kids, 100%, like yeah,
Sure.
go for it. So
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So one kind of latching on to that. So if it's, let's say it's not a high profile troll type person. Let's say it's a friend of yours. I use the term loosely, but someone you personally know. Maybe someone you went to elementary school with, who you don't really keep in touch with, but who you know personally. They say something really racist or really nasty or whatever, something reprehensible. I get the feeling you still wouldn't press the button, but how does it compare to the high-profile troll type person? Are you more tempted or less tempted to press the button in that situation?
I am less tempted to the personal one because their outreach is hurting less people. Like if I'm still not pressing the button. You're right, but I'm saying if I were inclined to try and delay meanness on the internet, I would want to go after people who have a big platform to get lots of meanness out there to lots of people. So
Well, let's say that this friend, the thing that they say is targeted towards a group that you belong to. So they insult teachers or they insult poetry or something that you hold very, very dear, or your race or religion or one of these lesser things, but
One of
mainly
these
poetry. They insult poetry. Does that
This
tempt you at all?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. In fact, like, and this is where, if I'm being honest, like not being on social media, you know, like I can't take like posts and all that serious. How much can it hurt me? I mean, even if it were to be like,
Yeah.
Daniel, you are a bad teacher. That would hurt if there were a lot of people saying that, and they were like past students of mine and like had some credibility. But but like even just saying, hey, you know, white guy, or I don't know, or like I can't going after a straight male or something. I don't know. I don't feel very. I can't get that hurt by some comments about who I am on the internet. And I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just saying, like, I don't
Yeah,
get
right.
worked
Yeah,
up
I
over
mean-
that stuff. I don't at all. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
no,
interest
me
me
either.
that much.
I mean, maybe we aren't the ideal. Maybe you're not the ideal person for me to be morally corrupting, and I'm certainly not the ideal.
Yeah, like
person
I'm not
for me
even
to be trying to
invested
morally
in this.
corrupt, but-
Yeah, this tool isn't that interesting to me, because where it would be more interesting to someone who just salivates and wishes they could they get brought into these sort of Twitter battles and stuff like that. They'd be more interesting to ask because it
Sure.
means something to them. Engaging and educating the public and all of this would be there. Ironically, I'm not interested in educating the public, even though I'm a teacher. I'm not interested in
Policing.
Yeah, policing stupidity on the internet. That's why I bow out, and I see how so much of social media is just stupidity, and so I just kind of like chuckle at like I don't actually chuckle. It makes me sad sometimes too because so many people do buy into it. But yeah,
All right, so let's say that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you anymore, but I do have a few more written down. So let's say a stranger. Let's assume you are posting a little bit more frequently on some type of social media, and some stranger replies to something you said and he directly and personally insults you. Maybe you go back and forth a few times, and it gets a little bit heated, and then he directly and personally insults you. Would that tempt you at all?
would it tempt me? Yeah, but I don't think I'd be anywhere near pressing it. I mean, I can do this thought exercise where I get dragged into it and find myself almost embarrassed that I'm doing it. But dang it, I just gotta go type out the long response and try and be thoughtful. And like I could see that happening. I've had lapses, right? I'm not completely immune where I'm just like I need to say this or whatever. So I can imagine the scenario you're creating, right? And that they
Right.
say it, and I'm actually pretty ticked, like enough that maybe I'm even thinking about it in bed, sort of thinking of some of the phrases, or ooh, I could say this or whatever. I could go down that rabbit hole for a little bit. But
But you don't
even
have to even say anything. You press this button, and their phone is just fried. They'll never know it was you. They will now be simmering about. I was trying to respond to Daniel, and my phone died on me, and like you're gonna get the last word here, and
yeah.
you will have really ruined their evening and their
To
phone.
to be honest, like yeah, I would not. I'm miles away from pressing that. Like I don't. Yeah, I really am. I'm not even close.
All
To
right,
pressing
fine,
it.
okay. Now
I'm so
that
moral.
let's say that someone messages you anonymously or something, and they claim to have nudes of your girlfriend, and they threaten to share them on the internet. If you don't do meet their
Yeah. Okay. Good
send them
scenario.
$50. Send them $50 or some PayPal them $50 or I don't know some whatever method. Sell them some Bitcoin or some crap. I don't
Okay.
know. They have some demand, and they say they've got nudes of your girlfriend on their phone. They're gonna share them if you don't give them
Pay
some
50
money.
bucks, $100, whatever it is. Yeah. No. Actually, I'm pressing the button. Yeah. Easily.
All right,
You got me.
gotcha.
Like screw that person for even if it's like not. Let's just say like I'm like, hey, do you have nudes floating around out there? That she's like, definitely not. I'd still press the button, because this is they're probably not just doing it to me, and it needs to be destroyed. Like they just need to go down. Like they're going around basically committing acts of terror. I mean, I don't want to compare it to bombing stuff or
Sure, yeah.
but it's like. Yeah, screw you, and I would take glee in their phone being. It also
All right.
solves the problem, so I would enjoy it. So yeah, you've definitely.
Good. I finally got the response I wanted from you.
Does that surprise
somewhere
you that
along
I'd
the
press
line.
it in that scenario?
No, it doesn't surprise me. I just wanted to
I think
construct
they. I
this
think they
situation.
deserve it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't like to be clear. I don't disagree. I don't think I disagree with any of your decisions under any of these. I mean, which may not be surprising. We have relatively similar moral codes, but I'm just glad finally that you're pressing the button. So Kim Jong Un, jerk who threatens to share your girlfriend's nudes. That's about it.
That's about it. All right, I got another scenario for you though.
I've got one more.
Go
Actually, I've
ahead.
got two more.
Yeah, yeah.
So what about spam texters? So you get some spam. Let's just imagine you can do it on a text or something as well.
Yeah.
You just get some spam. I've been getting a lot of spam texts
Me
lately.
too. Me too. Seriously, political
It's
ones
just-
and just spam
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, political ones, which
I don't
just
know
annoys
how,
me to
but-
no end. And I've getting ones that saying like, oh, you have a package that needs to be claimed. Click this suspicious link.
Ugh,
Like,
yeah.
What about
I would-
in that situation?
Yep, I think I go and well, maybe not the political ones that have somehow probably paid for your information and through CD means, but they're really just trying to get you to sign up and contribute and donate. Like that's annoying. So I don't know that I want to go. I might. Definitely the sort of click this link that's probably going to try and steal information from you. I'd go ahead and, yeah, destroy.
What if it's
The annoying political ones,
what if it's
I don't know.
what if it's a political one from the party that you do not ascribe to?
Makes no
Whatever that
difference
may
to
be.
me. Like they just paid. They're both seedy. That I feel exactly the same about getting that text. To be honest, like whichever side, I'm just like,
Right.
ugh. This is like you're invading my like phone feels even different than getting somehow like an email
In your email.
or
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've actually this week gotten 3 or 4 of those, and this is a new experience, and I've felt that annoyance for the first time and noticed like, wow, this is an interesting kind of annoyance that I have because there's nothing I can do about this. There's no way to unsubscribe or anything because they just change the number and send it to you again. You know, like it's from a different number every time. It's not like I
Right.
can block it.
right, there's nothing, and I don't know. I just I so then destroying it might not even do anything because it really well maybe it would go to that mega computer if it's sent from that, but I don't know.
Well, every time, I mean, like, for the political ones, I don't know, but for the spam ones, it's probably some automated thing or some call center people in India or something, and they're ultimately doing things for a profit. And so the more of their equipment you destroy, the less profitable their endeavor.
Well, I mean,
So,
there's spam and stuff, and there's like, but they might even be offering like health insurance or just random crap and like whatever. It's spam, and that's an interesting the distinction between spam and versus the probably thieves, right? That are trying to
right.
do something to your phone, get some information out of it. So no hesitation about them because then I'm destroying the very tool that they're using to try and take advantage of people. I'm slowing them down. Pretty easy, yes. Spam that annoys me and I do find is a mild moral breaking, right? They're invading my space. They've obtained my numbers through seedy means. They are, but I'm not sure that I feel like, I guess, balanced in destroying their stuff. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts there? Would you press the buttons in those cases?
I would be very tempted. I mean, definitely if it looks like it's a phishing attempt, to steal my information, then I'm really not gonna have. I'm not gonna feel bad about zapping their phone or
Yeah.
computer.
Right.
If it's just free penis enlargement pills or some kind of stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm asking about. That stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need those pills. So yeah, I'll probably just zap them.
Would you really though want to just?
Yeah,
I
I don't
just,
want that competition out there. No, I don't know. Let me give a serious answer. Yeah, I'd probably zap them. Like, I'd probably zap them. I don't like spam crap.
I don't like spam, and I also don't even know if you were to say, "Oh, I could use these pills or whatever." Would they send you some pills that don't work?
No.
Is it a complete
I actually, I don't know. It's been
or
a while
whatever the
since I
product?
ordered any.
Whatever the product. I mean, that's the funny example of a product, but like just lots of stuff. Or these things that say, "Do you need extra health insurance or auto insurance?" They range. It just ranges randomly. So if I called and said, "Yeah, I really could use more minutes than my
Yeah, I just
service
think most
provider."
of this stuff is trying to scam you.
And if that's the case, then which I think you're probably right, I'm more inclined to zap them. Just zap them.
But there is
Screw it. Like,
there is an interesting moral question because your zap isn't really targeted. You're just sending a zap out there into the ether to hit who it will, and you're not really sure what device. Because I mean, there may be some fishy stuff going on where someone has there's a virus on your grandma's computer that someone is using to send out this stuff.
right. Right.
Like if you're not fully aware of the technical back end of what's going on, like you don't know what you're zapping. When you're zapping Kim Jong Un, you kind of know what you're zapping, but penis enlargement pills, you don't really know what you're zapping.
Right. It is super mysterious. That is so weird.
Yeah. All right, last one. So the cyclist fan club page, it just simply exists and people post on it all the time. So
Cyclists?
yeah, cyclists, people who
Yeah.
ride bicycles. So they have a fan page. You just go to town.
I'm not sure I understand. Like, no.
You mean you don't go like just
Zap clubs I'm not involved in.
cyclists?
Annoying cyclists.
Yeah,
Really disrupt their networking, so maybe they're out on the road less, and that's great.
yeah, whatever. Just make their lives worse.
Or you go to like a Justin Bieber fan club, but you mean cyclists specifically. That's what's funny.
Cyclists, yeah.
No, I don't press that.
All right. All right. Well, I guess that's all I got. I'm not getting any further with that. I've gone down my list from the most gentle, unassuming people to cyclists, and that's
He built all the way to them.
yeah. That's
I'm
all I
curious.
got.
Where do we just? Well, let me throw one of these scenarios out that I'm not sure. I haven't thought it through yet, but my heart goes out to say there's a student who's a great student, means well, but is picked on, and they show me their social media, and there's this particular popular bully kid who is just everything you think of when you think rich, popular, snobby, jerk, like. And they're going out and being hateful to tons of people, but they are being brutal to this, nerdy, means well kid, but just like low hanging fruit to pick on them, right? They're not.
Sure, yeah.
They're just not attractive. They're overweight. Whatever. Insert
Sure,
all the reasons. So
the most unjust classroom discrepancy situation.
and then let's even add to it that not only have they like been reported to whether it's the school and the parents and all this, but like no one has like the
Cared
behavior.
enough,
Yes,
yeah.
the behavior's continued and it's not being taken seriously and it's damaging. Do I destroy the popular kid's phone? That one's an interesting one. That so I don't even know. I just wanted to put that scenario out there and then think it through. Because
Right.
I'm really tempted, right? That's
Yeah, of
vigilante
course you're
justice
tempted.
in a way.
It seems. I mean, it seems like you would be a hypocrite if you destroyed his phone.
I know.
Just because the same moral reasoning you applied to, the other property damage argument, and who made you the arbiter of morality. Those sorts of reasonings that you gave would apply to this as well.
And it does, and that's why I don't think I'm pressing it. But if I could say this was my own son, my dorky son or something, and then you have these sorts of I'm the father and like I don't care sometimes, like it's my kid and I'm gonna no really I could see myself making a hypocritical judgment as a father, just too overwhelmed with the I'd like to think I wouldn't, but I think it could, like that'd be an area where I might go against my ideals and say if no one can trace it back to me and I'm saving my son some pain and other people some real pain, and this kid could probably take a social media break, this jackass like popular kid, then I would deal with that internal inconsistency. I'd rather deal with the internal inconsistency than the pain on my son's face and knowing all these other kids are hurting too. That so I could see myself being a hypocrite that way. However, generally speaking, I think I just wouldn't press it for that kid because, I mean, the dorky kid or whatever is gonna like there's just a lot to be learned through the experience anyway. I hate to say
let
it
me-
like that, but yeah.
Right. Let me just because we've reached the end of this one, let me tweak the scenario a little bit, because I was just thinking the damage that you're inflicting, is not, obviously this is not hurting someone. If it was hurting someone, then that would weigh more heavily into your moral decisions here. But I wonder if we lessen the impact. So now it's not even destroying their phone, it's just like shutting off their phone and for like 8 hours or something. Like
What if it
just
made the
shuts down their
apps
phone.
glitch? What if the apps glitched out, but it still worked as a
Yeah.
phone, and it could still play games on the phone and like listen to Spotify, but like all social media apps just like glitched out. Is that fair? Is that sort of what you're thinking?
Yeah. I just want to walk down, gradually walk down the slope of decreasing severity of what the Zap button does, and see if does it change your answers to any of the situations we examined.
In some ways, the lens through which I was putting it is I'm getting to be, the judge and the jury and the prosecutor, all of it. I'm getting to just make all that decision wrapped in one, and I don't think that that's okay to do. So, but you're right that the punishment is a very tangible, like I've taken value out of their pocket, so to speak. Like, whereas now, okay, so now I've just made this app broken on your phone. It's a little different, you can still, it's a very functional phone. You're just not allowed to get on that medium that you crave, that you don't need. So it does feel like you've changed the morality a little bit. All my same principles, I think, still stand though.
All right,
like the violation isn't as gross, but it's still a violation. So.
Or what if we make it even less severe, and you're not banning them from the app or whatever, but like I say, it just like it immediately shuts down their phone and depletes all of the charge, and so it's an inconvenience. Like they now have to go like plug their phone in and let it charge back up for however long it takes. And that's what happens to them.
Ugh. I don't like that I might change some of my answers, but like take the kid being bullied and there's a heated exchange. Like it's probably best to just press pause on that heated exchange. Like, so I'm more inclined to do that. Like for the kid being bullied, right? Like so now like I've removed the immediacy of that pain. Now if we go back to adults, I just don't see myself doing, like, I'm going to treat kids a little bit differently than I would adults. So these kids are doing some mean things, and you know what? No phone for you. You got to go charge it. Like, take a break for a second, kid. I feel comfortable doing that, but I don't feel as comfortable doing that even with, say, the politician I disagree with that's making a moral claim. It's like, I can't look to the adult and say, you know what, adult, no phone for you. Chill out for a second. I don't know. Like,
all right, what about the button? All it does is it makes their phone like screech really loud and scarily for a couple seconds, like just really loud screech that'll make them jump.
I might be pressing.
What about that?
Yeah, I might press that on everything that sort of annoys me. Like I just like sometimes I just do it to you too.
right. Yeah, and I wouldn't know. It's untraceable, so I would be like, oh, my phone just
freaking
really
phone.
loud noise. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, now I'm just using it a lot, yes. Every post that, like, another baby pic, just make their phone screech.
Yeah. It would be some anti-Pavlovian conditioning or something instead of a bell. It's just like, oh yeah, another baby pic. Oh, you're posting political crap again? Like,
that's perfect. I love that, yeah. So they're like, oh, and it's weird, you could see this develop, and then they go to post another picture of their food or a selfie that no one cares about, and they just go, you know what, I don't want to do this for some reason.
Yeah, wow, this is strange.
My head's hurting a
really
little
don't
bit.
Want to press. Yeah, actually, in this strange way, you become a social media addict because now you have this power to screech people's phones.
Yeah, no, that actually might lead me to, you give me this power, all of a sudden I'm obsessed with just going and making lots of what I see as annoying things and screeching. I'm on it for hours a day now. Whereas if you make it more powerful for me, I back off and don't use it at all. That's really weird. Yeah. Is that a weird decision-making process? But it's true. That's how I feel. I would go make people's phones screech all the time for just mild annoyances to me. So, I don't know.
Right.
I like that.
I think that just shows that you are you're very mildly vindictive, but you don't actually really want to hurt anyone. So
maybe that's it. Like I'd be like, you need to put an apostrophe. Like all the little typos.
You used the wrong your.
Yeah. I like that. We should just add that anyway, and make it where you can see who made your stuff do that. I could also have fun doing that to like someone making a speech with the phone in their pocket, things like that too. So I like that. Oh, I like that. Would you also use it a lot more liberally?
Oh yeah, I would be I feel the same way. I would be screeching people all the time. I would get a kick out of imagining their reaction, and like, I mean, it's the same thing of like, I mean, really, that's almost down to the level of, just harmless prank. Because it's not gonna hurt them, and it's just amusing to me. So yeah, a little bit, like, maybe that's not exactly moral, but I mean, the risk factor is so low here that my amusement just, in the most selfish
It wins
way,
out.
my amusement wins out.
Weirdly enough, if I had that power, I might not go and do that to people who post, nasty political stuff or just mean stuff. I would just find more like I said, like the third baby picture in a day. Nope, you're getting screeched at, or your food. Nope, just more social mild violations that are eye rolling, because it just seems to fit with a loud screech. Like, yeah, you deserve that. That fits. So
I mean, the most annoying. I haven't even pulled up Facebook, and I mean, it's been weeks. Like, I don't use social media. I don't have Twitter. I don't use any of that crap. So it's a huge relief, actually. But the most annoying thing to me on Facebook is political crap, just crappy political posts all the time.
Yep.
That's the most annoying thing, and so like, I don't think I would be able to resist screeching those people. And like, I used to be annoyed by the dogs and babies and stuff, but like, whatever, at this, compared to the political crap, like dogs and babies are just kind of like, I can just scroll past that, and now I don't even really see it. Well, actually, my eyes don't really see anything on social media anymore, because literally zero people post worthwhile things.
yeah,
Like,
no, or they're not producing; they're just sharing. And
well, yeah, and I mean, that's my major gripe, because if you think back, to when Facebook was relatively new, when we were using it and stuff, when we were early in college or whatever, like then there was no share feature. It was, people writing messages to each other on their walls, and that all of your friends could see.
yep, it was
And
text-based then,
everyone was
yeah.
producing something. It was kind of like open email chains in a way, open short email chains, and well, that was entertaining and that was kind of fun, and I could see that being useful and maybe even beneficial. But modern day social media is garbage and almost 100% detrimental. So
I wish that there would be another social media person or development to come in and say, we're not going to allow sharing, we're not going to have a like button, and that it is going to be about the person on the platform producing thoughts and ideas. Would that,
it's
like,
impossible. Like, we're not there. This is not a technological advancement anymore. This is a cultural
Well, I know.
advancement.
So I would be, even if it was a smaller group of people and it was just
No. I'm saying what you're asking for is impossible. Like, it's not going to happen. It has to come from the people, because it's not a problem of technology. It's a problem of people not having either the energy, ability, or will to generate their own content. It's that the easy path is always to click share or click like or not contribute anything. That's the easy path. It's a series of people taking the easy path, and producing original content is the hard path. So it's not a problem of technology. The technology as it stands allows people to create interesting things, but people don't do it because there's an easier option.
Every update, whether it's Facebook or I'll even make a TikTok comment in just a second, but like, think about that. So it was, you could like a post, then you could heart a post, and then updates will put like a cry face and they might be a little bit animated. Everything by design is like to make communication automated and choose from this set responses. And people go, ooh, I like the dog bouncing up and down one, like GIFs and stuff. It's like,
it encourages emotional reaction rather than thoughtful reaction. Yes. Because you think, oh, I have this list of 5 emoji that I can choose from. Like, you read something and you react. They're called reactions. When companies talk about how many reactions they got, they're talking about that. You see something and you knee jerk and you think I'm mad and you click the angry face, or oh I am laughing so I click the laughy face. And like it, you never, like if it was just a text box, like you might say, even if you're saying something as trivial as haha that was funny, like that's still infinitely more valuable to me than clicking a laughy face.
Right. Well, I mean, even with the GIF keyboard or GIF keyboard and Bitmoji and things like this, instead of, if you said something funny to me or if you teased me, instead I could search all hell no or something and then find a GIF of
Yeah.
like someone shaking their head and then you
Right.
laugh because it is a funny looking GIF, and so I didn't produce or think of a witty retort. I sort of subbed out. That's the key thing, is subbing your wit, subbing your thoughts for something automated and quick and polished.
Yeah, that's kind of
and just putting it in
a
there.
different phenomenon than I was talking about, but an interesting one as well. I wonder. I mean, someone has to create the gifs, so there are some people out there producing original content. But like, I wonder for kids, and adults too. Like posting gifs is very popular.
Yeah.
But you're right. It makes you reach into your brain, into your catalog of GIFs, and think, or even outsource it to some search algorithm.
Mostly
for,
outsourced
for
now.
content.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of like it's outsourced wittiness,
Yep.
and that's interesting. Like, does that mean that in the long run we will generate a population of less witty people?
I think so. Yes, I do.
Or is there any is there any counterbalance where being exposed to pre-generated wit makes people understand more what wit is?
I think it just creates a clear divide between producers and sharers, and so very less and less people produce, and they get interested in it, and they do produce, and they sharpen their wit, and they do have exposure to lots and lots of examples of wit. But I think, yeah, communication just definitely takes a dive. Yeah. So
No,
no,
I mean,
I think that yes, you get exposed to a lot of things, and so your sense of humor, you're more willing to be like absurdist or see strange things, or like the funny thing about GIFs often, or GIFs, I never know which to say, so I just kind of say both and apologize. But
I think I'm firmly on side GIF.
okay, well we'll stick to that then. So GIF, like I've noticed that, like, so maybe it's like something from The Office with Michael Scott and a quote that he says, and so people
Yeah.
generally are sharing it because maybe his reaction or his look, it's perfect for whatever, and it fits,
Right.
and you think of that scene too, and you're like, oh, that does map on kind of neatly to this scenario too, but that GIF can take off, and people who've never seen The Office, the weird stare or whatever he's doing in the GIF, like
no,
yes,
no.
like
Yeah,
that's
that
a good
one
one.
I've seen a lot.
And someone who's never seen The Office doesn't even know this is The Office. I mean, if that's even possible. But there's plenty of those going around where you don't even know the source material, which to me
Yeah,
is
definitely.
beyond the point. Like, you're now into a different space of just, but like,
It's almost like an inside joke phenomenon, but the inside joke is so popular that now everyone is using the inside joke without being on the inside.
right. Yes. And like, and not only is that happening, that's like the norm. That's not unusual. I mean, I have this added, you talk about extensions. I've been playing with extensions as a teacher, trying to make interesting PowerPoints or Google Slides and things, and I can add GIFs to
Trying to emotionally manipulate your students
Yeah.
even more.
It's just like, if you want to, you can put in like lots of funny things, and like it makes, for me, lesson planning like goofy, right? Like if I did color symbolism,
yeah.
and then I think of something like, I'll just type in like rainbow dog to see if anything weird comes up, or you know what I mean, and I can put in something, and it's like, all right, today we're going to study color symbolism, and I've got this weird rainbow dog dancing or prancing around or something. Like, I like that, and it's so easy to do.
Right.
But I might not know that I'm pulling from this famous, Adult Swim cartoon scene that, I don't know what I'm pulling from, because inevitably there'll be 40 different rainbow dogs pulling up when I type that in. So
Right. Well, you have a long history of stealing content from other people.
not even true. I don't even know what you're talking about. No, but so and that's how I'd actually frame TikTok too. Is like, all right, so that's a video making platform, and it started off as sort of like dances, but has evolved to like just little challenges, whether it's developing a little dance or you know all these little challenges people like to engage in, like try and do this. Like there's you can record audio, and then it'll say like. Or here's an example of a small challenge: like hold out your hand to pet your dog, but pause right before you pet your dog and see what they do. And it's funny, right? So you can see this series. But imagine this. Now you've that. What an easy way to go. Ooh, I want to do that and share it. I want to participate. It's pretty thoughtless, pretty easy, and pretty entertaining. So then you get everyone hashtags it or whatever, and you can click on that, and you can see that challenge, and you can see 300, 700, a million, examples of this. And you can sort it by most liked. So you see the ones that have 800,000 likes, which are pretty funny as the dog's freaking out, pauses and looks and then doesn't know what to do and runs around or whatever.
Right.
But the point is, so that multiply that with, numerous challenges. You have all these people producing or feel like they're producing because they do. They're like, oh, I did this thing, I participated, but it's like going through empty. I don't know, maybe not empty, but not original motions. But they get to feel like they belong to a community. They get to feel like they did something funny, and it's like your take on this, right? Because every dog's going to react differently, and so that to me that it is in conversation with everything we're talking about.
Yeah, it's in there. I don't have as strong of a negative reaction to that.
No, they're producing and doing stuff and participating in something, but I think that the discussion isn't like it's still like how can we make video creating sharing service? How can you make it as simple as possible? What is the emoji version? So instead of like producing stuff, how can I make this automated? They do all these they do ones where like your face turns into a unicorn, like literally you open your mouth and it stretches out, and so then you just have everyone doing that.
Right. Yeah.
Constant new filters to do that, and so everyone does it, and it's just not even really a video. It's just you doing the thing. Your face.
I think if I had to try to pick out what I don't like about that, it's not the lack of originality or the following of a template or whatever. That that doesn't bother me quite so much in the instance of making a video, but I think the potentially more damaging thing is the change between having your community be your group of local friends in your middle school or whatever, and instead of being your local culture that you see and interact with personally, it's instead the entire world. I think that is. I won't outright call it dangerous, but it's definitely momentous, and certainly has the potential for danger, or at least change, because now you're not being influenced, and you're not filling in templates or producing for the people who you know personally. You're being influenced by and producing for just people who might as well be anonymous nobodies.
Right.
All around the world.
And they're having significant influence on you. Yeah, your sphere of influence, both on you and who you have influence on, is nebulous. It's a little unclear, and that's draining psychologically.
Right. I think that when you talk about, there's a word that gets thrown around called the monoculture. Have you heard that word?
The monomyth and stuff, but monoculture, define it for me. It makes a sort of sense immediately.
Yeah, so. I mean, it makes immediate sense. I mean, it's just the idea that kind of as the world shrinks with increasing social media connection, countries connecting up to the internet, everyone starting to share and post and contribute, and people have YouTube channels, and even we have a podcast. Everyone is putting their stuff on the internet and learning and interacting with other people. You lose what, if you imagine before everyone was interconnected, it's almost like you have millions of little incubators for special localized cultures, special localized inside jokes, templates creative things, whatever. All these little things are just cooked in this local space. And the downside to that is that maybe those ideas never make it to the broader world, and people don't get to enjoy the funny jokes or the genuine creativity that those little micro cookers generate.
Yeah.
That's the downside. But now we're moving to a place where there are no longer any micro cookers. There's no individual little cultural areas. Instead, everyone lives in a monoculture. Everyone is connected to this big, giant amalgam of everything, and in a way it kind of filters out the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows, and you only see and react to the broad spectrum of the monoculture. That's it, and you no longer even participate in your little local microculture as much, and so there's a loss of something.
I wonder if this will give rise to more cults. I mean, a weird thought, but like what I'm saying is like I think there's a need to belong to something specific and feel unique that isn't so.
Yeah.
The monolithic nature of one singular culture is overwhelming, tiring. Everyone knows this. When people whine about social media or dang internet, like we kind of know it's like that exhausting place we all go to though. And so, yeah, I could understand that cults or a cult personality saying, "Hey, I found a way to live life, and you want to belong. You still want to belong to a society and feel cherished and stuff." You can see the appeal.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, this is another big danger of the internet, and I think has tangibly been realized is like calling it a cult is one thing, but whereas. There are always outliers, so maybe there's some psychopath or someone with some really, really weird or dangerous fetish or like dangerous ideation or some radical ideology, whatever. There are always outliers in humanity. Before we could interact with everyone with the click of a button, that one person who is an extreme outlier would be isolated in their local culture because the odds of there being two extreme outliers, in whatever given area are low. And so they would be isolated, in a way, unable to do anything with their outlierliness. They can't if you're some, let's just be as extreme as we can, and you're some crazy person who wants to chop people's hands off and make dolls out of them or something really like something you would see on a bad CSI episode, If you're someone like that, then you're not going to be able to find a bunch of hand doll makers in your town. But I'm sure if we Googled it right now, we would find the handchoppingdollmaking.com forum, and there's going to be, some people with creepy profile pictures like talking about how much they want to chop people's hands off and make dolls out of them. The internet allows for the connection of even the tiniest of niches.
Right. The good and the bad.
People can find each other, make a forum for it or a thread on a forum or whatever, and then reinforce each other and say, oh, there's someone else like me. I'm not alone in the world. And, in some circumstances, that's a very good thing, a positive thing. Like maybe you can imagine some rural podunk town and there's a kid who wants to be an artist or something, right? And in that rural podunk mining town or something, everyone's got the black lung and, he's supposed to carry on the family coal business. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But he just wants to write poetry.
He just wants to write micro poetry and be an English teacher. We don't teach English around here. You can imagine that kind of fanciful situation. But with the power of the internet, he can, log on to art.com. I'm sure that's what it is. The most famous art website.
Poetry.com.
Poetry.org. And, and interact with other poets and and become more confident and find some appreciation, and that can be a positive thing. But if you're making dolls out of people's hands, you probably don't want to reinforce that behavior. And so kind of the point you're making is that the internet, the potential for danger is high. Like, I mean, we've seen this kind of thing with, you know, ISIS and like terrorist groups, and like even you know, people who go on shooting sprees and stuff. They use the internet for fame and for reinforcement of their terrible ideas and stuff. So that's definitely a danger.
And also, like,
Because the internet eliminates that niche isolation. You know, like in a way, you can kind of smother out those extreme outliers. Because they can't communicate with anyone, but the internet allows them to communicate with people.
and I think if people, I mean, many people have dark urges, and they try to manage these bad impulses or urges, and then but managing that can be a confusing process. So they turn to the internet to either find some examples of it in their dark hour or whatever, but then they find some justifications or other groups, like you said. And so instead of sort of feeling shame about it, which is actually maybe appropriate, and trying to bury it and trying to just manage it, it can be exacerbated as a group of people say, oh, it's so much more freeing to come along and nurture this impulse or this side of you, which really shouldn't be, honestly. And so, yeah, I think that just can happen a lot.
I think even in less extreme situations, you know, even with, you know, general anxiety, bullying, or these, or even like suicidality, these other trends that we see increasing, especially among kids. Like, I think that to me anyway, it's just very clear the line you can draw to connect that with, you know, the internet and social media, and the ability to basically play into confirmation bias by finding other people making the same mistake you are.
Yeah, confirmation bias, and what's the term, catastrophizing. So like it's tempting to complain and go, oh no, my life's so bad, I have this much homework, and then, you know, the story toppers and trying to connect with one another go, well, I have 4 hours of homework, I have 5, I didn't sleep until I only slept 5 hours last night, I slept 3, I didn't sleep at all, and like I'm freaking out, me too. And this, I mean, especially if you're younger and you haven't developed how to socially connect with one another, you experiment, right? Like, I mean, I can remember modeling some of my behaviors over trying to talk to girls, and I was nervous around them. And I recall seeing this is just a vague memory and almost nothing specific, but it was like older high school students, and the guy was teasing the girl, and this is how, and it was clear flirting, right? And he's like, why do you even act that way, ha ha ha, and she's laughing, stop, and like, and I was eating it up, though, like watching this as a model of behavior of like, all right, well, so teasing, you know, and she the playfulness she exudes, and so I don't remember, but I awkwardly implemented it, right, trying to tease a girl, and her be like, what, and it just wasn't working, but that can be formative, right? Like I don't know, it seems a little tangential, I guess, but
well, you can imagine, if I can try to draw an analogy, like you can imagine another fanciful situation where you have some extremely strict, maybe very religious or something, parents who homeschool their kids and just keep them very isolated, don't let them interact with other kids.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, those kids, from whatever circumstance, get put into a public school or interacting with a bunch of other, you know, normal, so to speak, kids. Then obviously that interaction is going to be strange, and weird things are going to happen. It's kind of like, that's kind of like what the creation of the internet has done. It's kind of like the exposure, like the exposure of the world to, you know, previously insulated kids. Like, and I feel like you and I, you know, people of our age, we're lucky. We kind of avoided most of that. Like, you know, by the time we were interacting personally with other people on the internet, like we were already basically at the end of high school.
right. I mean, AOL Instant Messenger was taking off, but it wasn't like,
there was Instant Messenger.
But this was very, it didn't have to. You weren't missing out on everything if you didn't have accounts on various platforms like it is now. Like withholding,
Right.
if you're just not on social media, you almost have to justify it now. You're definitely in the minority. Whereas like there was a healthy amount of people in our high school experience, you know, just not on.
That's
these
true.
things.
And there's a difference between Instant Messenger and social media.
Yes.
Instant Messenger is you know, if you're doing it with friends, it's a personal one-on-one chat, and like there's some weird virtualness to it, yeah, but I imagine that the psychological effects of that are comparatively mild compared to social media. If you're chatting with strangers, maybe that's a little bit different, but still they're just anonymous usernames, and like it's still a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm with
different
you. It
than
is
social media.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's about that time to wrap it up, don't you think? I'm tired of talking to you.
I'm a little tired of talking to you. I have to use the restroom, and like, and then that's it. So those are two good reasons to stop. So
Those are two good reasons to stop. So, try to think if there was any wrap up. No, we made our announcements at the beginning, so no.
Wait. It
no
was
wrap-up necessary.
mail dot third space.
mail.thirdspace@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect, awesome.
And on YouTube, just Third Space Podcast.
Woohoo! Did it.
All right,
Bye.
the end. Ostrich.